Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going over the grayscale trusts, and we're also going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin, the upcoming elections, and also earnings season, as well as some data. So with that being said, let's get it. All right, so bird's eye view here, you can see that the grayscale trusts have had some green today. Some life was being breathed into them, so that's always good. The crypto market is up massively. The thing I want to point out here, and again, we usually don't cover this unless we're in a separate video, but the thing we're focused on Bitcoin is what I mean to say. The thing I want to point out here is we're getting very, very close on Bitcoin to breaking bullish out of this bull flag. Okay, so there is actually there's a bull flag within a bull flag. So you have this little one, and then you have the big one. What I'm talking about is actually the big one. The little one has already, I assume, has already been broken out of on the daily time frame. Yep, that would appear to be so. Nice big fat green candle. Again, does appear we might actually get this candle close above those previous candle closes on the daily. That's very bullish. But the flag itself has actually broken out. So the next stage is to get up to this white line up here, about 67,000, and then bust out of there to the upside. So here's what I think is going to happen, okay? So I got to go in here and look at the data for a minute, and then I'll get around to the miners, and then we'll circle back around to the grayscale trusts so you guys know where I'm actually going with this. All right, so taking a look at the data here, initial jobless claims, that's going to be a big one. I'm expecting that to actually come in flat or slightly lower than expectations. We'll have to see on that one, but I'm not expecting much of a change on this. I'm also not expecting much of a change on continuous jobless claims, which again, both of these are extremely bullish. And retail sales, I am expecting that to come in slightly higher than expected. Again, this is all going to line up nicely with the soft landing narrative. I'm not expecting much of a change on these. So I think the lack of change on the data, which is what I'm expecting to happen this week, is actually going to be a bullish catalyst for the markets. And we're going to have a lot of earnings coming up for the rest of the week. Today was kind of dead. There was, I think, one earnings report. Tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be like a lot, like 100 and something, and it's going to continue that way for a while. And then on Thursday, I believe on Thursday, we also have tech earnings starting out with Netflix. And there's, of course, some other big companies. But point in case here, long story short, what I'm trying to say here is that between a lack of movement on the data, that will be bullish, and then the earnings itself will be bullish, and this is going to push the markets up throughout the end of the week and through the end of the month. Earnings is going to be the catalyst, in my opinion, that's going to send the markets higher. Okay, we already know that the Fed's cutting rates. That's already a headwind becoming a tailwind. Okay, the elections themselves is actually starting to become more of a tailwind. Here's the reason for that. Okay. So you guys are probably wondering, well, there's uncertainty before the elections. Yes, typically there is. The reason for that is because markets are never really sure who's going to be president. But at this current point in time, it's becoming more and more and more obvious to the markets as the days move forward towards elections that Trump is likely going to be the one that's going to be elected. Okay. And this is not about Trump. What this is about is market certainty versus market uncertainty. Most of the times, markets have uncertainty before the elections. At this particular election, the markets are leaning more towards the side of Trump. It's becoming more and more obvious that he's going to win, okay? And that creates market certainty. So what I expect is going to happen is that the markets are actually going to move higher earlier before earnings, okay? We may have a little bit of stillness right before the elections, but then the markets will probably just take off after that, okay? But in my opinion, over the next week, 2 weeks, going into earnings, it's going to be up and or sideways. Okay, I don't think we're going to see a lot of pullbacks. That's just my opinion. So let's take a look at the miners. Well, first and foremost, I do want to point out that Coinbase had a massive green day today. Again, another bullish catalyst here for crypto. MicroStrategy, a little bit of a pullback here, but again, this is a flip zone, so I'm expecting a pop probably tomorrow or sometime later in the week. I don't think MicroStrategy is done. Again, I will tell you guys right now that I think the likely target, the next target, big target for MicroStrategy is going to be all the way up here at roughly about $260 per share. Again, that is a $60 move from the current price. Okay, we saw MSTR hit almost 230. I think it goes $30 higher than that before we get a next major sideways chop or pullback. But again, you know what? It's just as likely that MicroStrategy might just keep on ripping to the moon and may go as high as, give me a second here, I got to pull this up again. It may not even pull back at that first fib level. It might just keep going up after that. That's always possible. Again, you got to understand one thing about Bitcoin and crypto. When it goes into the parabolic phase of the bull run, it doesn't stop. Okay, it just keeps going. It normally doesn't stop and take a breather. On occasion it does, but it usually goes for a while, like weeks or maybe even a month or two before it stops. Okay, it's not immediate. It doesn't just rip up and then stop and then pull back and then go up and then go sideways and go up. No, it usually just goes straight up. Okay, with steep pullbacks along the way. Again, we haven't seen a huge parabolic move on Bitcoin, so MicroStrategy realistically could just go straight to like $300 before having a serious pullback. Again, that would not surprise me. That's roughly about a 50% gain from the current price. And so Coinbase is up a little bit. MicroStrategy had a massive day yesterday. And then the miners, those of you guys that are in the miners, you'll be pleasantly surprised to know that the miners had a pretty good day. So Mara was up massively. I think it was up a lot more. At one point, it was up almost like 10, 12%. IREN's up a lot. Riot's up quite a bit as well. All of these are up a lot. CLSK is up huge, 13%. Probably, I'm guessing the shorts are probably getting a little bit terrified right now. I would be if I were in their shoes too, because trying to short the markets right now at this point in the cycle is a really stupid idea. You got to be really dumb to try to be shorting crypto right now. I'm just going to say that. People want to get offended. Okay, whatever. I don't care. So look, LTCN, this is a bear flag formation. Okay, we have lower lows and lower highs here on the overall trend. Reason why I think this is not going to break bearish out of the bear flag is simply because of the fact that we have bullish indicators down here. Bitcoin is also getting ready to bust out of there and go to all-time highs. And as you guys know, LTCN and BCHG are Bitcoin oscillators. Okay, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, Bitcoin Diamond, and even Dogecoin to some extent are all Bitcoin oscillators. Okay. So when Bitcoin goes up, they go up. So there's a chance this may not even break down. Again, the S&P's done something like this where it looks like it has a bear flag, but it actually breaks to the upside. So I'm kind of expecting something similar here. So let's talk about price. So we got, again, once again, roughly about this trend line, 1180 to, I'd say, roughly about $15 is going to be a good buy zone. Then you got that 25 to 27 as a potential target, 54, 75, 100 to 135, roughly about 2 to 300, and then 510 at the all-time highs. All right, so just measuring this from the trend line, if you guys had bought down there the last time we talked about this, obviously it's moved up a lot since then. If not, you already got your bags packed. Okay, whatever, you're not sweating it. So 127% to 360% move here. BCHG, this one did move up quite a bit as well. Again, these are oscillators to Bitcoin, so it makes sense that they're the ones that are up the most on the day. I'm not really surprised. Okay, so inverse head and shoulders, gap here. You can see that this possibly really is playing out like an inverse head and shoulders. I can actually kind of give you guys the target for that right now. Again, this is going to look kind of sloppy because this is not a textbook inverse head and shoulders, but again, it doesn't need to be textbook. It just needs to play out like a head and shoulders. That's all that matters. So the target is going to be right around that $10 area. So somewhere between $9.80 to $10 is what I'm looking at. So current support 520 to about 590. Resistance here at 1035 to roughly about 1270, and then you got $18 to 20, 24 as the swing high up there. And how long do I think? So 128%, 252%, and 320% respectively. How long do I think it's going to take for Bitcoin to hit 74,000 and start moonshotting? It's really hard to say. I would say probably not longer than 4 weeks. I can't say that with absolute certainty, but I'm pretty confident it's not going to be longer than 4 weeks. Once we get above that bull flag, Bitcoin's probably going to start shredding to the upside. It'll be eye-popping how fast it's going to move up. Okay, so 340 to 420 at support there. 690 to 810. Again, the target for the top of the falling wedge is the top of the wedge. So 1050 is that target, which is also just so happens to be the previous swing high up there. So measure moves here, 113 to roughly about 180% move. ETCG, so this one does look like it's actually holding support here. That's always a good sign. So 750 to about $10 once again is what I'm looking at for support. 13 and roughly about 1330 to 16, and then you have, I'd say, about 1715 to 20 would be the next levels here. Just measuring from the current price, we're looking at about 83%, 137%. ETH. So this one, there's no real pattern here that I can see of. Basically, just support here sitting at 1830. You have roughly about 23 to 28.40. The cup and handle target up here is 47.5. Again, you see this big, huge cup. That was basically the entire bear market to the recovery year. That is the cup. Then you got your handle. We got our breakout. But again, of course, it's not going straight up to the target. That can happen. There's no guarantee it has to go immediately straight up to the target right away. So just measuring here. And again, I'm not going to measure from the current price. I'm going to measure from the most ideal entry point. So roughly about 57% to about 155% move. GBAT, slight pullback here, but again, this is a very bullish looking candle. That's actually, this is not a hammer candle. This is what's known as a dragonfly candle. If you guys don't know what that is, look it up. So a hammer candle, typically speaking, has to be, the body has to be about a third the size of the candle, and the other 2/3 roughly about has to be the wick. But a dragonfly is basically where the body is as small as possible at either the top or the bottom of the candle. In this case, it's a bullish candle. Okay. So we got 4 more days to play this out, but roughly about 450 to 510 support there. Then you have 770 to about $10 resistance, and 32 up at the highs. Again, this thing could easily go past 32. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't happen. The market caps are super micro size, so it wouldn't take a lot to move these. So 115% to 590% move. All right, PhilG, FileG, whatever you want to call it, support here, 36 to 43. The all-time high is at 400. The MACD histogram is about to turn green. As you can see, that's always a very bullish sign. 850% move. GLIV, still sitting at support. I mean, again, if you think another trust is too expensive and you're looking to buy one, you got some cash on the side, this may be worth noting. So $12 to $14.70 as support there, all-time high at 80. Roughly about a 520% move. G-Link, stuck in between support and resistance. I mean, again, if it gets down here in support, you get your chance to buy it at the ideal price, 38 to 45. You can see it doesn't really sit at that support very long. It gets out of there pretty quick. So just keep that in mind if you're looking to buy this thing. So 66 to 85 here at resistance, and then the all-time high is at 220, which, I don't think that's actually going to be the all-time high. So 95% and 412% respectively. GSOL slowly starting to move up. That's always a good sign. 300 to 350, and then I'd say about 580, 590 going to be the all-time highs up there. So just measuring from the current price, the all-time high, roughly about 39%. However, if you do get another pullback, which at this point in the game, I don't think there's going to be any more pullbacks, big ones for a while. That's just my opinion. So 95% move here. GXLM, this is interesting. So we had a move up. It appears to be a big move, but the candle is actually doesn't appear to have done much, so that's curious. So current support, roughly about 1450, and then you got your targets up here at 50, I'd say about 5260 to about 5850, and then you have your all-time high up there, or not all-time high, sorry, swing high up at 70, so we're going to be looking at about 308, 385%. Mana, this one's mostly kind of sitting flat, but again, you guys got to understand when these things move up slowly off their lows, it always starts out slow and then it gets more rapid to the upside and then it explodes in price. Okay, that's always how this goes in crypto. So you can see the green on the histogram there. That's a pretty clear signal this thing is about to potentially start popping off. All right, so support here 10, I'd say about 1015, 1760 to 20 as resistance, and then 70 is those highs up there. So 98% and 555% respectively. And keep in mind, the Fed is going to be incentivized to want to create the soft landing narrative because when Trump comes in office, he's already thinking about firing Powell. He's already thinking about it. He's already said so. So it's going to be in Powell and his buddy's best interest to try to want to create as bullish of an environment as humanly possible for Trump when he comes in office to reduce the risk of getting fired. Because again, every time a president is elected, a new one, or in this case, reelected, they have the right to choose a new FOMC chairman for themselves if they want to. It's written in the rules. That's the way it is. You guys can go do your research on this. That's how it usually works when you get a new POTUS. They have the right, if they want to either retain the current Fed chairman or get rid of them and get somebody new. So just something to keep in mind. So Zcash here, 305 to $6. Again, that's a big range, but that's kind of where the accumulation sits. And then you have about $8 to 970, and then 10 and a quarter up there at those highs. So maximum low to maximum high here, about 195 to 220%. All right, so hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.